Hey, I've got here the Foxy Jr. Piece of lab equipment. I think whoever named this at Teledyne had a pretty good sense of humor. I got this in an auction a while back. I'll put a link to it over there or in the comments or in the description. But you know how they say no user serviceable parts in this? Well, not in this case. On the web, I found the complete operational and service manual for this, and they've got very detailed pictures of where the parts go, and I'll just randomly put the stuff over there. They tell you the part number, they tell you the values of the capacitors, everything. They've also got diagrams on, I wouldn't say how to take it apart, but where every part goes. So what is this thing? Well, you basically have some liquids coming in, and it goes to this here. This has a small tube that goes over to here. This thing goes back and forth this way, and this part here goes back and forth this way. This is why I may want to try to take this apart in a reasonable fashion, just so that I have this XY part. The part over here has a little nozzle. It counts the drips. Yes, it's a drip counter. And it fills up whatever portion of the test tube you want. This one here has got a huge rack. Some of them I've seen on the internet have much larger holes for bottles, etc. So it's called a fraction collection. Well, it's collecting fractions, I guess. So it's a precision piece of valuable equipment, and I paid less than whatever it is in the corner there for a huge amount of equipment that filled up the trunk of my vehicle. So what I'm going to do is start taking this apart. It doesn't really fit too well on the bench, so I might have to go off occasionally when I try to take things out. So let's get at it. Oh, but first, let's pull this thing out. Detaches. I've seen these actually listed on eBay. People want like $100 for something like this, and I'm just talking this part. I don't know if they actually ever get what they ask for on eBay, because if they do, I probably have taken apart a few tens of $1,000s worth of equipment. So, let's see, 1, 2 screws there. This deviates from the picture in the file or in their manual. Okay, let's just look at this first here. Teledyne, Superior Street, Lincoln, whichever state is NE. So made in the US. Let's start taking apart, and I'll fast forward where needed. Okay, the part that I absolutely don't want to destroy is this part up in here. Here's the stepper motor that controls this way direction, and I'll have to pull the rest apart to see the one that goes back and forth here. This looks pretty straightforward, that all I need to do is detach some cables and make sure camera's on. Okay, there's one. Very nice. Let's just get this out. There's a second one. Ooh, I like the color of those. Cough, cough. Okay, this one comes out. Oh, there's one more here, which they've... Isn't this how I broke the other pair of these? There we go. Come on. Okay. It'll come out eventually. There. Fully detachable. This part down, whoops. This part down here I really don't care about, so I can take it apart now. So it looks like there's 2 here I need to remove, and potentially 4 screws here, and it should all come apart quite nicely, in theory. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, I don't need to take the feet off. It fell apart. So, let's flip this over. Gives easy access to these. Let's see. Yeah, that looks like there's just 2 of them. That was simple. That one's not going to be simple. Okay, that was simple. Anything else holding it in? And not that I can see. Should just lift straight now. Okay. Oh, one more little wire going down to there. Presto! Well, let's zoom down to it. So let's start with the power supply. You got 14 volts AC coming in here. These things here, I believe, are EMI filters, 10,000 picofarads. I got that number off of the data sheet for this instrument. I put an image in the corner there of what I believe the pinout is on these. Then we have a KBU 8D bridge rectifier, the big one. That's, I believe, good to 8 amps. And maybe I'll put a data sheet in the corner. Interestingly, on the other side, we have a DF02541A bridge rectifier. That's good for 1 amp. Then we got a nice slow blow fuse, and I'm going to put it in the corner up there for a future video coming up, because I got this really interesting machine from the University of Victoria. It's actually a fuse simulator. So that'll make an interesting video. Then coming over here we have LM2575T, and that is a step-down buck regulator for generating whatever voltage. I think that's 5 volts actually. Then we have over here a 7815, so that's creating a positive 15 volts. Then, as I continue to rotate things around, we have a Maxim ICL 7662, and that's a CMOS voltage converter, so that you can get some negative voltage out. And of course I'll try to put things in the corner there. This one here is a bit harder to see, but it's a 79 LO5, so that's negative 5 volts. So that basically is the power supply section over here. You've got a nice size 12,000 microfarad cap here. You got a 5,000. Is that 5,000 or 500? Come on. Okay, 500 microfarad cap there, and an inductor here for whichever one of the chips that needed it. And then we have, coming a bit further over, a lot more EMI suppression in here. I hadn't really seen these ones that often. I tried to look up the data sheet for them, and I kept coming back with obsolete. But I think I can actually see a number on that one. I wasn't able to get a part number off of these, but it does say, I'm pretty sure it's 10,000 picofarad, 100 volts. Then we get over to some other chips. And continuing along, I'm actually recording this over several days. I'm still getting over a stupid little cold. We have a CD4051, which is an 8-channel multiplexer. Then we get down to this interesting one here, CS5507. It's actually a 16-bit analog to digital converter. We have some OP070. No. OP07DP. It's actually an op amp. And there's another one right here. CD4053. That's a 3-channel analog multiplexer. Now we get to some of the bigger ones here. Okay, we have L298N. This is for an H-bridge. These are going to be the ones driving those stepper motors. And there's actually some pretty beefy tracks coming out of there. Well, let's just pull it around a bit. Which then pop out over here, go over to the other board, where they continue to be beefy tracks. Running over to, eventually, the connector that goes up to the stepper motor. Now, what else do we have in here? This SP720 is actually to protect, I believe, the rest of the ICs from all the noise being generated over here. But don't take my word for it. Look up the data sheet. Now, let's see. What else do we have? Okay. Oops. Max 516, which I'll stick it in the corner there. 4 comparators and 4 digital to analog converters. Looking at my notes and this at the same time. It don't work all the time. ATF750C. That's a electrical, erasable, programmable logic one. A HIN 232. 232, let's see. RS-232 communication transceiver. Empty, 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 and empty. Those ones are real easy. Coming over to this side, turn this around. A Varta. This is a 2.4 volt, 150 milliamp hour battery. Ooh, made in Germany. We have a piezo. I'll just show what's on here, and if you're interested you can look them up. Some SN74s. Yeah, some more. Oh, some SP720 again to protect stuff. Ooh, some yellow chips. It's probably a resistor network. It's especially since it says R220. Another CD. ULN280. If I find it, I'll put it in the corner there. A processor, microcontroller. There we go. Oops. 1986. Then, here we go. Some more. And that looks like an EEPROM. Just a second. Let's see what's underneath this label here. Is there a magic window? Yes, there's a magic window. I'm going to take one of these apart at some point. That's pretty impressive looking in there as it slowly gets erased. But that's it for these two boards. Then we'll take a look at the other stuff. Okay, I've removed these two, just lifted them up and taped them out of the way, make it easier. And actually the tape is what was holding this in place. So this stepper motor here, you can see it in there, controls this one here for moving it back and forth. Then, and I can't see the belt for this one. Must be all built into here, and I'd have to destroy that, and I don't want to. So there's it looking down that way. Get that out of the way. So this ribbon here was controlling this stepper motor and most likely the flow through this part over here. So that's kind of interesting. What I want to do with this piece here though is once I've started playing with microprocessors, see if I can actually start controlling this, because then I would have a nice little XY device. Okay, gonna have to rotate this around. Let's see if you can see it. There we go. So there's where the other nozzle would go for actually injecting the liquids, and then somewhere in there would be where the other lead goes into. Oh, actually it probably goes, the injector's probably right in here, and of course that part's missing, and the hose would go in there. So if I want to use this in the future, I'll just have to connect something up. There must be a belt or something in there, and I can't see it. But that would control this moving back and forth. So, only other thing is to pull this board out, but there's not going to be a lot there. Nice little display. Let's see if it says anything about it. It says blob and blob chip. So that's about it for this one. I'll be keeping this piece here intact. Oh, and up there is part of my new lighting. And if you recognize it, it's that aquarium light that I got a while back and did a video on. So, have a good one. Bye.